Let's talk about what to expect from the online retailers today. Tom Forte of D.A. Davidson is joining us now. He's a senior research analyst who tracks a lot of those online retailers. And Tom, we just heard from Brian Sozzi a few moments ago saying that, yes, it's been a fairly robust shopping season so far, but sort of at the lower end of estimate. What even for many of the cyber retailers, what do you think is going on there? Is it the be careful what you wish for that these guys have been trying to spread out shopping and maybe that has actually worked?
So, Julie, great question. I think it's a combination of factors. So, you think about Prime Day that was held in October this year, which is regularly a June or July event. And the goal there was to try to ease the pressure on Amazon's fulfillment centers by pulling some sales forward in the fourth quarter. At the same time, I think we have to think about how many of the provisions of the CARES Act have long expired. So I think you're looking at a consumer now, and while many are in good shape and have incremental discretionary income to spend, because for the most part, they're not traveling, they're not eating away from home. But at the same time, I think we have to think about how there hasn't been a material stimulus really since the CARES Act. And I do think that there are a large number of consumers out there that are in very challenging situations for holiday this year.
Tom, who are the losers online so far this holiday season?
Well, I think the challenge for e-commerce in general is going to be, will I have the inventory in stock? And then the second challenge was, will I be able to get the inventory to the consumer in time for holiday? So generally speaking, we think Etsy's incredibly well positioned to the extent that we believe they have a structural advantage on Amazon. While their sellers don't make Xboxes and PlayStations, they do make gifts. So Etsy should have gifts in stock for the whole holiday season. By way of comparison, there's been inventory shortages across consumer electronics. This has been particularly challenging for Sonos and for Corsair Gaming, and I think it's going to remain challenging. Consumer electronic sales may not be as robust as hoped because of these supply chain challenges.
Hey, Tom, maybe zooming out a little and thinking about what we've learned about e-commerce during the pandemic. We're mentioning these supply chain challenges, and maybe they're short term because of the pandemic. But has the shift to online maybe changed how some of these retailers and really manufacturers are going to have to think about their scheduling through the year, and maybe things maybe get less predictable in terms of when your buying seasons are the way they may have been, in a more brick and mortar sense?
Absolutely. So the irony for 2020 is that it's been Cyber Monday essentially every day since late March, early April. I mean, the shift to e-commerce this year during the pandemic has been very substantial and very significant. And from a supply chain standpoint, I think that we've learned that consumer electronics, if you think of Logitech webcams, things of that nature, gaming accessories during a pandemic, there have been shortages throughout the year. And I think that what we're going to look for is who's going to have the ability to adjust their supply chain to react more quickly to trends. And I'm hopeful that we'll see more flexibility in supply chains in 2021.
And Tom, of course, it's not just supply chains on the part of the producers. It's also the sort of last mile, so to speak, right? It's getting this stuff to people. And we have been hearing from retailers now pretty consistently to expect shipping delays, delivery delays this holiday season. They can say that all they want. Are we still going to risk having a lot of people being pretty annoyed over the course of the holiday season? And what effect is that going to have on shopping behavior and then feedback to some of these retailers?
Great question, Julie. So the best example I have to compare it with is a number of years ago, Amazon discontinued signups to Amazon Prime because it noticed in the data as we were approaching holiday that it would not be able to meet the demand as far as consumers looking to have products delivered to them in time for holiday. Now, since then, Amazon has materially ramped its first-party delivery efforts. But when I think about collectively the US Postal Service, FedEx, UPS, and even Amazon's own efforts, I think this is going to be a very challenging logistics e-commerce period. For that reason, though, companies like Target and Walmart that are doing the buy online, pick up in store may have an advantage, much like they had an advantage early during the pandemic with consumers being able to get their groceries by buying online and picking up in store. So I think this is going to be a very challenging period from a logistical standpoint as well. And companies that are doing the buy online, pick up in store may have a competitive advantage.
Very interesting point. Tom Forte, good to see you. Be well, Tom. Tom is D.A.
You too,
Davidson
Julie.
Sr. Research Analyst. Appreciate it.